Hello, this is Chris Hammond with chrisdoc.com. Welcome back to our DNN9 video series. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about what's new in DNN9. Specifically, we're going to go over the new persona bar, which replaces the control panel within a DNN installation. So after that, we'll talk real quickly about how you can find all the new locations for all the old things that you know from earlier versions of DNN. And we'll talk about how you can even get to some of the old ways of doing things within DNN if you find that the persona bar doesn't give you everything that you're looking for. So let's go ahead and switch over here to our virtual machine where we're running our DNN9 installation. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to log in with that host or that super user account that we created during our installation process. Now, once you get logged into your DNN9 website, you're going to see that new persona bar load over here on the left. Now, this replaces the control panel within DNN9, and it actually replaces the admin and the host menu items as well. So the persona bar is going to give you access to managing your content as well as managing the settings and the configuration of your DNN website. The content management is going to be managed under this first icon here under the DNN logo, which is the content persona bar area. So if you mouse over that little logo, we get the little icon, we get the content flyout here. Now the content flyout gives us two options. We have pages and recycle bin. Now, if you click on the pages option, this is going to take you to the page management section within DNN. Now, if you're familiar with earlier versions of DNN, this should look somewhat familiar to you, but this is now the only way to add pages from within the persona bar. So we can go in here and we can add a single page by clicking on the add page option. Or we can click on the add multiple pages option. And in this case, we can start to apply multiple pages by just typing in the name of those pages. Put the new pages on separate lines. And if we need to have a child page, we can say, well, let's change it back to 3. Say child page or child 1, child 2, and then perhaps grandchild. So we can use that to create pages within our DNN9 site. Now in a future video, we'll go into more of the details around actually creating a page and all of the settings that come along with a page within our site. But also within this management area, we can change our page menu structure. We can drag and drop by clicking on the icon over on the right to move things around. We can also, depending on if we have a page that has child pages, like Activity Feed does here, if we click on that, we'll see the 3 child pages. Now that'll fly out over there, and we can again change the order of those as well. Now also from within the menu here on the pages management area, you can view the page, you can edit the page, get to the settings, or even delete the page. Now I cannot delete the home page, so the X is not available for us to click on. We can navigate to any of those pages within our DNN site. Now also within the persona bar under the content menu, we have the recycle bin. Now the recycle bin will show us any pages or modules or even users that have been deleted within our DNN install. Now if we had any deleted pages, we could come in here and we could restore those or empty the recycle bin. Same thing for modules and users. Now, after the content area in the persona bar, we're going to have the manage area. Now, here we can fly into the persona bar to manage things like users and security roles. The site assets or global assets are the file management tools within DNN. Themes allows us to control and configure the themes that our website are using. And then if we're logged in as a host or a super user and we have multiple sites within our DNN installation, we can navigate to the sites area, which allows us actually to even create additional sites within our DNN installation. And then finally, we have the admin logs, formerly the event viewer within DNN. So here we can see all of the various events occurring within our DNN9 installation. After the manage area of the persona bar, we have the settings area. Now here we can navigate into things like the site settings. Now the site settings allow us to go in and start to configure the title of our site, basic descriptions and keywords for search engine optimization, things like our time zone and our copyright. Now, in the next video in our series, we're going to go through some of the steps there of what we configure when we do a brand new installation of DNN9. Also within the settings area, we have things like the security section. Under security, we can control the login settings. We can have login IP filters if you want to restrict logins to specific IPs. We can manage the member account settings and the registration settings. We've also got the security analyzer. This allows us to go into the scanner check and have it look for modified files within our DNN site. We can do an audit as well. It'll go through and tell us if we have things that need to be configured from a security perspective. We can look at security bulletins and a couple more options there around SSL. And then if we want to show critical errors, if we want to have our site in debug mode, and some auto unlock and other options available to us from a security perspective. After that, we have an SEO area where we can manage our URL settings, the extensions that we're utilizing for URL providers. We can control the URL expressions, which tells DNN which paths and URLs DNN should try to rewrite and which ones it should not. And we can go into the test URL section where we can test out resulting URLs with query strings. If we're managing our sitemap, we can navigate into there and control the settings for our sitemap. Vocabularies gives us the ability to manage things like tags and lists within our DNN site. Extensions is where we can install new modules or themes to our DNN site. If we have multiple web servers, we can manage the server settings here within the persona bar. Now, one of the things that's very useful on the servers tab, the servers option in the persona bar, is the restart application and the clear cache option. Those are formerly found under the tools menu within the control panel. We can get into server settings, configuring our SMTP, the email settings. We can access the DNN scheduler, the custom CSS tools, the SQL console. If you're a developer, accessing your SQL database through the web browser is extremely useful. The config manager, which allows us to configure our web.config file and various other configuration files within the DNN site. And then just simply an About tab, which gives you some information about the evoke or paid editions of DNN. Now, also within the persona bar, if we go ahead and click on the X here to close the persona bar, when you're on a page, you can go down to the bottom left and click on the pencil, and that will allow you to go in and edit that particular page. So within the old control panel, there was a big green button that said edit this page. Now we have a simple pencil in the lower left. Once you switch into edit mode, we then get another bar at the very bottom of the page, which allows us the options to add a module, add an existing module, which means to copy a module from another page, and then a settings control here, which will allow us to access the page settings for the page that we are on. After we make our changes on the page, we can go ahead and click on close at the bottom, and that will close our edit mode and take us back into the view mode of our DNN9 website. Now, the persona bar provides you a lot of information within DNN. If you're familiar with the older versions of DNN, however, some of that information can be hard to track down. So I want to point out a URL that you can go to. I'm going to go to cjh.am/DNNdocs9. And if you navigate to that URL, that will take you to the DNN Documentation Center, specifically to a document regarding the control bar and the persona bar information. So it'll give you kind of a mapping of things that were available within the control panel in earlier versions of DNN and where you can find those now within the persona bar. So if you scroll down through the list here, we'll see that there's a lot of different information available. So it's a very useful tool. If you're familiar with earlier versions of DNN, you definitely want to check out that control bar to persona bar documentation on dnnsoftware.com. Now, one final tip in this video: if you want to access some of the old functionality within DNN, you can navigate to /admin at the end of your URL. Now, if you've got a brand new DNN website, you're not going to actually see that many options here. We don't have a page called Site Settings anymore, or a page called Page Management. All of that is now in that persona bar. But if you're working with an earlier version that's been upgraded to DNN9, you will have access to a number of those tools. Now, in addition to the admin menu, you can also navigate to the host page. And once again, if you're coming from an earlier version, you'll find all of those old host pages will still exist on your DNN site. But within DNN9, if it's a fresh installation, the admin and the host pages are pretty blank. They've got the page or the file management section and maybe one or two other options depending on your installation. So that new persona bar is really powerful. Got a number of new tools available to you. In the next video in our series here, we're going to talk to you about the basic things that we always do when we set up a brand new DNN website. This is Chris Hammond with ChrisTalk.com. Thanks for watching the video.